Cavalier faithful, we're back. Cavs Encapsulated, Season 2, something every Cavalier fan enjoyed last year from us. It's Justin, it's Logan, it's me, Jeffrey. Let's get into the offseason. Let's get into media day. Let's get into a contract extension, some rumor mills, and some extracurriculars. Let's get started.
No, it's just, hey, these guys are really good at basketball, and that's all they do.
Kyrie was, I'm done. I'm done with Kyrie.
But damn it, I need more GVR.
There's the preliminary intro. We haven't worked on an intro.
Jeffrey, your hair has come a long way.
I know, dude.
Right.
Oh
You
my
look
gosh.
like a kid.
I was at the gym today because when I'm at the gym and I'm bored, I don't know. I have a hard time like listening to music at the gym. I don't know why. I'll go back and listen to me and Justin's really old stuff, like 2 years ago, and we look wild. It's hilarious. It's
Justin,
hilarious.
I mean, season 2, has your opinion changed? You still need some more GV art?
I'm wearing more GVR. That's the only thing I don't know if that's the last thing they put out, but I bugged them on Twitter when Garland, when they kept like tweeting stuff about Garland. I was like, when is the Garland shirt coming? Like, when are you guys making that Garland shirt?
Yeah,
they do everything. They do everything for the Guardians and they do stuff with the Browns, and then it's like the Cavs are completely left out. I'm like, and they have such great opinions about like every design that comes out for everything, and then they're like, but we'll just continue to not do
I want Garland in a cowboy hat. That's what I want. It would go one with my Texas roots right now, and obviously the video that dropped today.
I just don't know if they've done like, I'm sure they've had Cavs players like in, but they like collaborate with
the one
Guardians players and Browns players. Do they ever collaborate with Cavs players like officially?
Remember, Jeff, back when in the 2016 finals, the one LeBron shirt I had, because it was a WWE reference, it was the Ultimate Warrior LeBron shirt. That was sick. That's sick. Like the only one I can remember, and I think they did like a Kevin Love and maybe like a Kyrie, like way back, but.
Maybe. I have a Kyrie shirt from them. I'm pretty
outside of the 2016 stuff. Like, there's not a ton that they got going on for Cavs. But
I'm actually gonna write that down. We're gonna do an episode where we go on their website and just buy stuff. We'll have chat, give us an allowance, and just be like, all right, spend that up. All right.
It's like, all right, who's up this time? You're buying this.
Roulette. Whoever gets to buy first 3 things is the winner.
Right.
So memorabilia and jerseys. Actually, we're going to talk about jerseys at the end if we're going to buy any jerseys. Spoiler alert. But let's get into the most pertinent news as far as recency. We've had Cavs Media Day, but I want to talk about the Dean Wade extension. As far as we've already covered Donovan Mitchell. Not that we can't continue to cover that because that's a huge trade blockbuster, but we don't want to harp on that all offseason. We only got a couple weeks to Cavs basketball. Logan, as far as somebody who I feel like enjoyed Dean Wade last year, tell me your thoughts when you heard about that contract extension first off.
Well, I'll share with our YouTube friends here. You know, I texted both Justin and Jeffrey. I said, if you're going to pay the man, you better play the man. And I think they should. If you're going to offer $6 million to somebody a season, that should be a person that you're expecting to be in the rotation. And I think Evan Dammerel actually kind of touched on it too. Like, he's like, don't read too much into this, but I don't think they would have extended him or gave him the money they did if they didn't have some future plans for him. I think at the end of the day, when you lose Lauri Markkanen, you want to kind of have still semblances of last year's team, and Dean kind of fills that role. If not, I think at the end of the day, at the small forward position, I've said it a million times, I won't go with Karis LeVert. I won't go with another scorer off the bench. It needs to be somebody that doesn't need the ball, who's going to play some defense, knock down some threes, and that's what Dean Wade's role has always been for this team. And, when I first saw him, I don't know how many years have we had him? A couple of years now. I was like, this
is actually his 4th year. Yeah. This is his 4th year in the league.
And I'll be honest about it. When I first saw him, a couple of years ago, all I thought was, okay, he's one of those Cavs forgottens, right? Like Dang Adele and Marquise Chris, just these random dudes that filled a role for the time being, but once we're good, we're not going to need him. I think he's a genuinely solid, good rotation player in the NBA. I would play him over Cedi Osman, I believe, even though I am a supporter of Cedi Osman. We're a loaded team at the end of the day. Correct. I'd play him over Lamar Stevens. I would like him to battle with minutes with Isaac Okoro. He's not the LeVert, he's not the Love minutes yet, but I think he's like that guy that you can start a game with and play just 22, 24 minutes overall. I think he's just out there to get you off to a good start, do his role, play his role, and that's why the Cavaliers are trusting him with this contract.
Justin, over to you. I'm going to go to his contract on the screen now because I like taking this into account as far as what we were paying him versus what we are paying him. Yep. So as you could see, obviously he was undrafted, so extremely cheap the first year we had him. His salary has been scaling in, being more expensive year on year. But if you look at these numbers here, he was still making shy of $2 million last year. And then as far as next year, well, $2 million this year, excuse me, he's actually still on the cheap deal this year because we exercised this number. But if you go to next year, his estimate is, pushing 3 times the amount of what we're going to be paying him this year. As far as you and how you like to talk about the rotation, who should get minutes, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts about this. Will he start? And if not, let's not even, because we get obsessed with the starting thing.
Yeah.
Who is he going to average more minutes per game then?
So that's actually a phenomenal question, because while Logan was talking, I was kind of pulling up stats of certain players on this team that I think he's comparable to. And the biggest thing with his contract is the one player it matches up almost directly to is Chetty, who I think he'll get more minutes of over. But it's one of those things where Chetty was here and he kind of got the bump in stats because LeBron leaves and, we're so depleted on the roster and everything. And he kind of pulls like a Colin Sexton where he gets to pad his stats a little bit in losing games and looks a lot better than what he usually is. And Dean Wade is kind of the opposite of that, where he, last year he didn't play on not last year, 2 seasons ago, he didn't play on a phenomenal team and he played about 19 minutes and didn't really contribute a lot. We didn't really think a lot of Dean Wade 2 years ago. This year, I think this past season, I keep saying this past season, I think a lot of people were very optimistic and very happy, Jeff. I know you talked about him guarding Kevin Durant and guarding, great scores at the 3 position. I think that's a phenomenal idea. I think he should be the starter just because and if you go and you listen back to what Logan had said, he sounds exactly like Lauri Markkanen and what Lauri Markkanen was slotted to do with us last season. And so I honestly think it's a great deal. NBA money is way different than NFL money, which I'm way more used to. But Correct. At the end of the day, I think this is still like a cheap deal because Ricky Rubio is on a very similar deal. So I think he'll start, and I think he'll be just like Markkanen, where like he slots in as the primary like 3 guy in a tall ball situation. So
I totally agree with both of you guys. I think that is Altman's move to JB, where let's not even say they had these internal discussions, but JB is coming from the mindset of, hey, I don't want to totally get away from the big 3. So sure, you're going to have Allen and Mobley. That's a given. You trade away Lowry for DM. Fine. We all agreed that was the correct move at the end of the day. But Dean Wade, 6'7", 6'8", I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's not 7 foot or 7'1" like Lowry was, but he gives you some semblance of, hey, I could start the year while we're still trying to figure out Donovan Mitchell, getting into the scene. Because the more I look at the calendar, and we actually traded for Donovan Mitchell extremely late in the offseason. Yeah. I don't even think about that. So it's like, while we're getting him time to gel, you have Lowry, Mobley, and Allen, who've all played together for a significant amount of time that you could rely on. I think he slots in as the starter. He makes the most sense as far as, okay, if you don't want LeVert starting out there with Donovan Mitchell and DG, I'll concede that point. But I like the move. I think he's going to be cheap as far as, what he brings to people like us who follow the team. If you don't follow the Cavs, you probably thought that we were just overpaying some random. He is a random in the NBA landscape, but at the end of the day, I like the move. I think we can agree that
when you get as many stars as you do in that like starting lineup, and then, people like to mention Kevin Love having a resurgence and everything, like these moves are huge in the fact that when you get into the playoffs, these are guys that you will rely on. And even throughout the regular season, like Jeff had alluded to with my point of like, we need to keep guys fresh and we need to make sure that the load is light for those starting guys. So it's huge to have Dean Wade, Lamar Stevens, Chetty Osman, Raul Nato for, part of the season until Ricky Rubio gets back, Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro. I mean, the list goes on, but I think these are moves that they don't cost a lot, but in the long run, they're very significant.
And the thing is, a lot of people are auditioning for their spot in that rotation, who's actually going to get the minutes. And it's not like your 2018 Cavs where you had all these personalities and egos, that were up and down that roster. It didn't end up working out. And a lot of people would have argued they had too much talent or too many big time players. These are a bunch of guys who are just young and hungry. A lot of them are young. A lot of them do things well that others don't, but they all have their strengths and weaknesses. And it really just depends on who are the five on the floor across from the Cavaliers that they decide who they want to throw in. It gives JB a bunch of options, gives them a chance. All right, midway through the season, who are the guys that are actually becoming off our bench and providing good minutes? And the only way to find that out is you got to pay them. But they must have seen enough in Dean Wade to know that he can be a part of, throw his name in the hat for this position and whatever role he has on the team. But that's what makes this Cavs team fun. That's why we're so good last year is we had more talent than we thought we did because guys stepped up. I think that'll only prove to do more as these guys are, one, rewarded with a contract like Dean Wade was, or two, need to get that contract. So I think it's really fun.
And I think it's underestimated as far as probably the Donovan Mitchell move, and probably the last time we'll talk about it this episode once again, but the trickle-down effect of adding another superstar. How many games last year where we were like, some injuries granted, but even without injuries, how many games last year against really good opponents where we were like, okay, we need Lamar, Chetty, and Dean Wade to all play really good tonight.
Yeah.
This year without Donovan Mitchell, instead of going out and bringing more people in, it's like, okay, you kept Lamar, you kept Dean Wade, you kept Okoro in the Donovan Mitchell trade, and you still have LeVert. We're just asking for one of these guys to be really good. It's not like we're asking for all of them to have outstanding nights, night in, night out. It's like who could step up and really work into that role, like you said, Logan, audition for that role player that every playoff team who makes a deep run in the playoffs needs. You need this guy who's under the radar, nobody heard of him, or he's not the flashy player. Like you need a Bobby Portis. It's just who you need. As far as, this team, I think Dean Wade could really fill that role.
It's really interesting, Jeff. I know we want to move on to the next point.
No, you're good. Let's make it a long one.
Talking about like the securing your spot thing with Logan, it's really interesting that Dean Wade is the first guy out of all those guys that Jeff listed off that's getting a contract extension. There's no way Isaac Okoro is demanding a ton of money because he hasn't proved anything. And Lamar Stevens, obviously, was he a second-round pick or was he undrafted as well?
I think he might have been undrafted as well.
Another guy who's proving themselves. I mean, like, these contracts, I'm glad that they're getting them done early. And Okoro's still out there as a top 5 pick that we need to figure out. I don't think he'll ever demand a huge amount of money, but it's nice to have the dealings done early with some of these guys because I think Lamar Stevens could be a really good player somewhere else. We've watched guys like Joe Harris walk away and get money paid big time somewhere else to be a good player, but hopefully that continues to be the mold of how these contract extensions go.
Very true. Very good points. I love it for Dean Wade. I think that's a big boost for his, his work ethic, getting that money, getting a little bit of security, and then going on with your life, continuing to work hard. Before we get into the next segment, this segment break is brought to you by the Cleveland Pulse Twitter at Pulse Cleveland. We're closing in on 2,100 followers. Crazy growth over there. As far as the Brown season starting up, we've seen a lot of followers. And as far as the Cavs come back, I know we're going to see huge growth. We love interacting with everybody over there. And this season of Cavs Encapsulated Season 2, it's going to be different. We all talked. We all agreed. We felt like it was just too much of us last year. We're going to have special guests. You already saw us with Mac Perry. I got 2 more people lined up that Justin and Logan don't even know about, but I already got them half lined up.
I got one in the wings too. Yeah,
we got a Golden State fan coming on. We got an old teacher that we went to high school with who taught us. He's coming on. Spoiler alert there. You guys know who I'm talking about. Got back to me yesterday. Shout out to him. And then we have somebody coming on, hopefully in the future, if we could line up schedules. It's tough with schedules, but we want to do it, pump out the content, make sure everybody can get on the same page, and we stay involved. For this second segment, we're going to go to clips from Cavs Media Day. I'm going to show one clip. We're all going to react. And then I'm going to show a second clip that's more lighthearted. And we're going to react to a clip that I did tweet out. So like I said, follow us on that Pulse Cleveland if you want to see what we tweet over there. Let's start with this question by Emmett Golden directed toward JB Bickerstaff.
JB, this is, the first time that there's lofty expectations since you've been head coach here. Is that something that you will talk to the guys about? And if so, how will you approach your first season with lofty expectations?
It's about embracing who you are. So those expectations don't bring any added pressure. We have a talented group of players in that locker room. that support each other, that are there for one another, and want to compete with one another. So that's what our focus is on. If we do the right things, good things will happen for this group.
So, Justin, I want to come to you first because we've never claimed to be experts, but when you cover the teams for multiple seasons, you actually see things with your own eyes that you should have, like that you had in the back of your mind when a reporter asks a question like this. Take the Browns, for example, coming off the playoff win. It was the same type of questions after they beat the Steelers the next season. How are you going to respond with real, coherent expectations? This is what this Cavs team is facing. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because with the Browns, we went from, being a really cohesive team to the next year being very sabotaged by an individual player by the seams of things. And a lot of, that throwing into turmoil, the situation with the coach, the rest of the team. Basketball is far different because there's less reliance on just one single player typically. And like he said, we have a great group of guys here: Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, the list goes on. And so, not having to carry the burden of just relying on one player to do well is going to, alleviate JB Bickerstaff and what he has to do. He can rely on Darius Garland to finish a game out, a Donovan Mitchell to finish the game out, for Evan Mobley to assert his dominance on defense and get the defense going. There's a lot of different things that he has personally going for him. I think in terms of talking about just like my expectation for JB going into the season is like, he's gotta be able to manage the minutes to a T, because I can't go and watch Darius Garland go down for an injury, whatever it might be, knock on wood. And then he plays Donovan Mitchell an absurd amount of minutes because he's got to rely on Donovan Mitchell way more. We have guys who are quality guys. We don't need to just like put one guy and put them on a pedestal and just make them run the whole team through them and have them play an absurd amount of minutes. I don't want any injuries. Injuries ruined us last season. My second thing with that is just the tall ball thing. I really want him to return to that. I think that's his kind of identity. It would be really I've gotten away from the idea of Isaac Okoro starting at the 3. Am I going to be upset if it happens? No. But I really think that the Dean Wade move just makes so much sense with the timeline of things happening and how we played ball last year. And hopefully that's the case, and hopefully he carries it into this season.
Now, going over to you, Logan, I know we're all pretty tapped into the national media, and this is where I talked about the trickle-down effect of acquiring someone like Donovan Mitchell. You ask other people to not have to play to the best of their capability every night. But on the reverse side of that, the negative is that with this roster, with this lineup, with what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to perform, now you have this increased sense of scrutiny. We're under this microscope now because we have Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Jarrett Allen were all-stars last year. Mobley was arguably the rookie of the year. He came in second in the voting, He was correct. But it's like we enjoyed it last year being under the radar, the underdog mentality. They wouldn't flex us to a primetime game if we wanted it, which we actually liked. As far as your perspective, Logan, how do you think JB takes a different approach this year? And if there's turbulence, if there's regression to start the year, what gets done about it?
It's easier said than done, but to kind of answer your first question that you asked, Justin, I mean, he talks about knowing who you are. And last year we knew who we were. And then that's what made us so successful. And like you said, yeah, it helped to run under the radar. People didn't exactly know what to expect from the Cleveland Cavaliers. But as far as nowadays, the thing is, we have the right personnel. This isn't a loaded super team with a bunch of, guys that have personalities, have egos. Donovan Mitchell has never missed the playoffs. He came to Utah where they thought they were going to be rebuilding. They got rid of their franchise guy, Gordon Hayward, and thought, okay, we'll miss the playoffs this year. I just don't think it's in his identity to lose. I don't think it's in Darius Garland's identity. I think Jared Allen has, I think Evan Mobley, all these guys who have been, either losers at the beginning of their career, like Jared Allen was with those bad Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, Garland had to have a couple bad years with the Cavaliers to start. I think they're sick of losing. I think they're tired of losing. A lot of super teams that are formed and teams that come together and have all these big names, they come together for one sole purpose. That's to win a championship because they've never won one. And when you do that, you tend to have those issues and personalities colliding. This is just a homegrown, naturally organic super team that we have. Like, it reminds me, and we'll talk about it with our Warriors guy when he comes on the podcast, of the Golden State Warriors. They formed a super team and they didn't have these issues. They didn't have, what's the different approach you take when things don't work? Because it always worked. It's because the Cavaliers, through drafting, through making the right moves, through getting the guy not only for his talent, but also for his character in Donovan Mitchell, they've set themselves up in a situation where I don't think they're going to have this clashing of heads, butting of heads, this national media attention that's harping on you all the time. I think, I don't know. I think you know what I mean. Like, it's like JB's going to have it out. He's going to have a tough job. There's no doubt about it. He's going to have to make all these pieces fit, make it work. But he's got the right tools to work with. At the end of the day, that can make, a pretty good result. So I think at the end of the day, when it comes to what he said in that little clip there, knowing your identity quick. And I think we got our identity quick last year, quicker than we thought we were. I think I said it takes 15 to 20 games to find your identity. And I think 10 games in, we were pretty sure the Cavaliers were actually going to be pretty solid this year, or at the very least, we're going to compete. So the thing is, if you keep that same competitive attitude like you did last year, now you just add the talent. I think it should all come together pretty well. And when it doesn't, I'm sure we'll be here to complain about it.
I think as far as Justin's response, I think that you got to be a little bit nervous that JB's a younger coach. Yeah. I think it's good that I feel like he garners respect from the players and he gets them to play defense. That'll be the big indicator for me. Is Donovan Mitchell playing hard defense? Is Darius's defense has improved?
Said he wants to.
That's what I'm saying. But it's like, how the national media is. If we start, they're just clicks. They're click machines. Like, obviously, we do it to an extent as well, but we try to not be, overreactors as far as if we start 2-5 or 2-6, the national media is going to be on us, even if it's less than 10 games. It's just how it goes. It's not even warranted. It's not even the correct way to look at it because, like you said, 15 to 20 games from there, we go after the 20th game as far as if you're being super conservative. But if we start off bad the first 10 games, if we're 3-7, 4-6, it's going to be like, oh, this team added Mitchell and they still, they're having a tough time. But I feel like if you're taking a rational approach to it, you got to understand it. Between him never playing with any of these guys, you're going to have to give it at least, like I said, 20 games.
Sorry, Justin.
No, you're good. I was just, Jeff bringing up the point about, and you talking about like finding your identity quickly with JB. The first 10 games that we have, 6 of them are against playoff teams from last year. And I think 5 of them are Eastern Conference teams that we'll have to deal with. So, they're no slouches. Obviously, we've talked about that, or at least discussed among ourselves that, the first 10 games are tough. And that first opening stretch of games, like Jeff is alluding to, the 20 games, it's tough sledding. And you're going to have to find yourselves, because it's way easier for me to believe that if you start out fast like we did, it's easier to cruise towards the end of the season, garnering any injuries happen to, us at, awful times. But it's way harder. It's way harder to dig yourselves out of the hole if you start off very poorly, in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I'll mention too, and it goes back to my first point about JB has the right tools and the right personalities. Say we had brought in James Harden, right, instead of Donovan Mitchell. You start 3-7 with James Harden, he's going to blow up, freak out, and not give you his 100%. You bring in a guy like Ben Simmons, right? You get off to a bad start. He gets in his own head. He's not playing as well. Then maybe the season's lost. But when you have a guy like Donovan Mitchell, who's patient, who knows the winning ways, who has the right attitude, the right mindset, it makes JB's job a lot easier. So if you don't figure it out the first 10 games, that's no problem. If you at least have the identity, that the talent, that the wins will eventually come. I think that's what makes JB's job so easy, as long as he can, from day one, hop on, this is who we are, let's roll.
I totally agree. I think you have a good personality in Donovan Mitchell, and you just hope to ride that as far as how long it takes. It might take 25 games. You never know. Justin brings up good points about strength schedule to start the year. Headed into clip number 2, more of a lighthearted clip, not as much back and forth discussion, just something we have to monitor, something that we are going to enjoy monitoring as far as the season goes on, hopefully. Let's take it to clip number 2.
Carla right now, our Akron Beacon Journal. Yeah, how's that 3-point shot coming along?
It's coming along really well.
I love how she just asked that question. She was like, how's that 3-point shot coming along? Like, honestly, what's he going to say?
Figure it out yet?
Oh, yeah. No, it's kind of looking like ass, kind of like last, kind of like he looked fine last year, but I'm just looking for a more, as far as my statement here, I'm looking for a more fluid shooting motion. I think we can agree on that.
No hitch. Yeah.
No hitch.
He definitely looks a lot more fluid. I think you and I
He looks bigger too.
Yeah. I think you and I talked about it. Like,
but can he get bigger and shoot more fluid? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, you and I talked about 3 months ago, Jeffrey, when he was just doing like an open gym thing, and we were like, that shot looks a little bit different. He's got a higher release on it. He's not shooting as much from his shoulder. It's more, I mean, like he's always shooting above his head. You know what I mean? Like he's extending those arms a little bit more. He's got a little more control of the shot. Yeah, exactly right. So I think at the end of the day, we like to pack that middle. We'd like to have the lob threats in both Mobley and Allen, or one guy sets a screen, the other guy waits to cut. Obviously, we have that in our repertoire, but having that ability to be like, Mobley, just spread the hell out. Just go over there, stay over there. Mitchell draws defenders, kicks it to the corner. If we can get a corner 3 from him, like if he can become kind of like a PJ Tucker, where like, and he's better than PJ Tucker, but I'm talking about when it comes to this 3-point shooting. PJ Tucker hangs out in those corners, and he's one of the most consistent 3-point shooters from that corner I've ever seen. He's kind of whatever from everywhere else, on the wings, up top. But if Mobley can just start with the corner threes, spread out that offense to the very depths, the very width of the court as you
Keep
can.
the defender honest.
Exactly. Yeah. If he can just start there, that's all I need right now. Finn is barking it up there. I don't know if you guys can hear him, but he's annoying the hell out of me.
I'm gonna be very honest here, and this is gonna upset people a lot.
Good.
I'll start with like what Logan's getting on. This will be something that I think is a good thing, but I'll move into a bad thing after it. I think he could be really Chris Bosh of the Miami Heat, where I despise that Miami Heat team of Kevin or LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh, because I would literally just watch Bosh stand in the corner and catch not outlet passes, but exit passes from D Wade and LeBron, and he'd just be standing in the corner drilling threes, and people would not get on him. And I think that's exactly what Mobley can become. Along with that point, though, and Jeff, you're in charge of the Twitter account and everything, and the tweet was something about Evan Mobley needs to or has to be the guy here in order for us to win a championship. I'm going to be completely honest. I think Evan Mobley can be a Hall of Fame player, just out of talent that I've seen and potential I've seen. However, I do not think he will reach that potential here. Wow. I think it's very realistic that the two guys that you mentioned in this tweet take away from his progression. I don't think he plateaus right away. I think he improves this year, next year, and he hits a plateau of he's great, but he's not hitting that upper echelon of like phenomenal, like the Luka Doncic, the Jokic's. Like he could be a Jokic. He could be better than Jokic. He could be better than Joel Embiid. But unfortunately, I think he is the third man on a team with 3 stars right now. And I know I say 3 stars, and people will get upset with me about Jared Allen. But Jeff, how many attempts did it take for him to get into the All-Star game, whatever, but I'm probably going to catch some flack for both those comments, but it is what it is. I'm glad though that I'm seeing and hearing a lot of like JB and the guys saying like, hey, we want him to be more active on the offensive side of the game court and, take control of situations and have the ball run through him sometimes. But at the end of the day, I think you have to establish guys, and that's not to say Garland's going to plateau now, but Donovan Mitchell and Garland's games are pretty refined to a point where they can't get much better.
Well, that's what I was lamenting all offseason, is that I didn't think it was worth bringing back Colin Sexton for him to touch the ball more than Evan Mobley this season. I think it's worth it to bring Donovan Mitchell on for him to touch the ball more this season, because let's think of some weird lineups. If DG and DM are off the court and Mobley and even LeVert are on the court, who's touching the ball more on the offensive side of the ball? Probably still LeVert. So it's like, of course, he's not only the third option, but he really is like the fourth option. He's still young, but I agree with what you're saying. We would need to have historically high, like a trio of players have historically high stat lines, points per games, for him to be like, okay, we're going to see it not in the box score with how he plays defense, but that's more about what that tweet was going into.
Yeah.
Is he giving you, let's say at the top, is he giving you Giannis level defense and still able to score the ball? If he's giving you close to defensive player of the year production and he's still putting up, 15 to 20 points per game, he's going to be the best player on this roster. But as a two-way player, Donovan Mitchell could score 35 a night. I mean, the people are going to be, watching the box score, but I'm still saying I'm taking the two-way guy all day. The two-way guy has always won championships, as far as Giannis, as far as Kobe, as far as Shaq, Michael Jordan, good two-way player. LeBron, we know that when he wanted to play defense, he was very elite as a defender. Yeah. But I thought that was just a fun little clip. I like how she asked that question, and I'm curious to see
figure it out.
Sorry, I turned it into a more serious thing.
No,
I just felt like I had to get that off my
to.
chest, because like I saw the tweet this morning and I was like, yeah, I agree with it. I agree that he needs to be better, and he needs to be like you said, the two-way player, the consistent two-way player that he is, and improve, and he's going to be a key to us winning a championship. I was just thinking of it in the sense of like, man, I know like he could pull a Colin Sexton and go somewhere where there's no one else and just absolutely rack up the stats and everything.
Sure.
It'll be interesting to watch like the progression of him with one other superstar, but the fact that we have two other superstars is the only demeaning thing there. And it's not to say that he won't continue to improve. It's just, I think he'll plateau at some point.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know what you're saying. There's only one basketball. We've always said that. Going into our last major talking point before we talk about some more of the two last things before we wrap up. What I thought was interesting is that we see the Dean Wade extension, and Justin, I'm going back to you because I think you have the odd opinion out as far as me and Logan might agree more. So I want to hear you first.
I know where it's going.
Back to the rumor mill. Jay Crowder, as far as the Cavs being interested, where are we coming from there?
I despise him. Quite literally.
What do you think he would fit?
Despise.
I don't like him either, but as a player,
it's just like I saw someone else say it. It's like I don't think that you're getting anything that you wouldn't get. And Logan, was that you? Was that you that said that we wouldn't be getting anything that we don't already have on this roster with him?
I don't think it was me.
It was someone on Twitter that said that, and I very much like jived with it. I'm just like, realistically, what's he going to give you over Dean Wade? Like that's my biggest comparable thing right now.
More experience.
That's
my thing. He has playoff experience. He's been a part of winning cultures. He didn't like playing here the first time, but my whole thing about just as far as me getting this thought out here, I just think Phoenix is like, okay, he doesn't want to play for Phoenix anymore, and Phoenix might be selling him for a song. Yeah. Like, what if
personality issues though that I just don't like. And it's not that I despise personality issues, because some players, granted, can have personality issues. When you're Kevin Durant and you're 7 foot and you can shoot the three like he does, you can have those personality issues.
I said Patrick Beverly.
When you're Kyrie Irving and you're doing what you do and breaking dude's ankles.
This is true. It's Jay Crowder.
Have these issues, but Jay Crowder.
What if they were like, okay, Dylan Windler, Jay Crowder, straight swap?
Send it. I mean, the only problem there is like, hey,
I need a second.
Who's losing minutes now? Dylan Windler didn't have minutes to give. Who are we taking minutes away from now?
I don't know. That's what I'd be concerned about.
Dylan Windler's in the competition for the 3 spot. Are you shitting me? Oh, what? I didn't see the dude on the team last year. He was hardly on the bench for the team.
He was in the G League. He's been phenomenal all off season.
Yeah, his 3 actually looks like a 3.
I really hope Dylan Windler's really good and we just cut that a little bit.
I hope so.
I hope Dylan Windler watches the show.
Oh God, that'd be. He's been spending a lot of time.
I hope all the Cavs watch the show. Logan, what, you hope the Cavs don't watch our show?
I would love that.
All right, this is my counterpoint, Justin. When it comes to what does Jay Crowder bring? When we got rid of him in Cleveland, I was like, good riddance. I really think he didn't fit with that team. One, he fits better with this current Cavs team. That's just one. But here's the thing. Look at the team.
Can you explain why, though?
I'm getting to it.
Okay.
No, it's fine. This is the point I'm going to look at right now. When he went to Utah, they became a 1 seed in the West. When he went to Miami, they went to the finals. When he went to Phoenix, along with Chris Paul, yes, I know there's other players that are involved, they became the best team in the NBA. I think he's a winning player. I think he makes winning plays. I think he brings a level of toughness, a level of experience that other players can't get you. And he also is giving you that on a much cheaper contract than you might anywhere else. Now, when it comes to this team and how he fits, like I mentioned earlier, Garland can set up just about anybody in the NBA. I know you could say about LeBron too, but LeBron also had a bunch of other personalities he had to work with in that scheme, in that flow. You had Dwayne Wade, you had Derrick Rose, you had Isaiah Thomas, you had Kevin Love, you had left, right, and center, everybody. I think when it comes to this team, you have your established players at the top, and everybody else is just kind of a role player. And if Jay can just play his role, which he has done to a T and very well on his last 3 teams, he's been a starter for all 3 teams. Starting small forward for Utah, in Miami, in Phoenix. And there's probably players that were better, and that's why they're moving on, because if Cam Johnson, who's developed now in Phoenix, they want to move on and get Jay Crowder out of there. I get that. I get that point, and I get the worry. But I do think if you're giving up the right package, you see Finn going crazy.
He's going crazy.
Yeah. This is an everyday occurrence. And Stevie just losing myself. My roommate's over here telling him to shut up. So when it comes to, like, do we need to make this trade? No, I agree with you, Justin. I don't think we need to make this trade. Truth. When it comes to when you're making the right package, and this guy could potentially help you when it comes to, building a winning culture or giving you that edge that maybe you don't have now because teams are expecting to be good. Maybe he's that edge.
Here's the 2 role players we need back.
Oh boy, TT,
Double T can have fun.
If Robin Lopez can't go, I know who we're gonna call.
I love Robin Lopez. I'm liking him already.
That's my thing, though. I'm like, I told you guys in the chat with the Jay Crowder thing. It's like I'm pretty set with just running it with the roster that we have, because I've said this before. I think you have 1-for-1 replacements at every position for your starters in terms of like guys who can come in and do a serviceable job, if not a great job. And I just don't like Jay Crowder. I don't believe like puts you over the bump, but I can understand like, hey, like he's a good player in the respect that he could come in and start and be the clear starter, but I don't know. His
first stint with Cleveland definitely makes me feel a little weary of it. Don't get me wrong. I was expecting so much more from him.
Thomas, and I just
I
really want to get away from that.
Yeah, I don't think we need to make that trade, but I just think it's interesting. It's like this is how all of Kobe's tenure really has been. Like, I see one thing. I see Legion Hoops tweeted out, not like an affiliated source with the NBA. Oh, Cavs are interested in Jay Crowder. Then I see like 3 or 4 blue check marks, like Sam Amico's throwing it out there on the Twitter, and I'm like, okay. And then the last 36 hours, I haven't heard anything about it. But that's how it goes in the NBA. Before we wrap up, does anybody have jerseys coming in the mail?
All right, let me start first.
I knew he did.
I have been playing NBA 2K23 a lot.
And I got the free league pass.
I did get it. I got it. Don't you worry. But what I was going to say is I said this the first time. When the jerseys first came out, I was like, really? There's so much more we could have done. But when you see it on a player, it makes all the difference. And I kind of love it right now.
The whites are so nice.
The whites are gorgeous. I play my career mode,
and
of course, I'm a small forward for the Cleveland Cavaliers because that's exactly what the team needs right now. 87 overall would be beautiful to have.
What's that 3-point shot looking like?
What's the height?
You already know, 6'8". 6'8".
He's LeBron. He's built like
LeBron. He's LeBron.
6'8". But yeah, so essentially, when you see those jerseys on the players, it always looks better. And now I'm really excited. I'm thinking.
Question for you guys: have you seen the practice jerseys?
They're pretty similar to regular jerseys.
No. They have the red practice jerseys, and I swear to goodness, the red practice jerseys look like what they should have been for like the team jerseys. I think it's like the white jerseys but copied onto the red. I just love the white ones. I think the white ones should have just been like copy and pasted on all of them, but I know that's just really boring. But
so Logan, you don't have anything coming?
I got not yet, but I'm gonna go black jersey Garland, white jersey Mitchell. That wine jersey.
I already got the white jersey for Mitchell. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
You have to go black jersey for Mitchell.
What's up? There's the only one you could order on their website's the white.
The white one. Yeah.
What is that about? Season's in 2 weeks. Justin, so you have the white one on the way?
Here, I got the white Donovan Mitchell one, baby.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go.
It looks so
What is this?
good.
Like if you go to their you can't even get either one of these.
Yeah, I don't know what's
pre-order.
Yeah, I don't know when it's shipping.
And the retro, I mean, wait a minute. Z. I mean, I guess that's all you
Thurman
can get.
jersey. Anybody?
If they brought the bottom right ones back, the orange blue ones, I would go nuts. So those are nice too.
I might just have to outsmart them and just custom one.
Can you do that and get one of the
just put Garland on the back?
Oh, for the classic orange. Okay, yeah,
might as well if they let you.
I'm sure you could. If there's a way. World be free jersey.
That's the way you got to do
Former
it.
draft pick of Justin Harold.
That's the first time I've looked at their website. So Justin's got the white on the way. I might have to do that. It's going to cost me probably $19.99 to custom the jersey, but it's like one of those the Z one that they have up there. Imagine that one with like Allen on the back.
Oh yeah.
I wonder when they're going to actually announce the complete set of like city jerseys, because I don't think we've talked about that rumor. Did we?
The NBA is slowly it's a coordinated effort from the NBA. They're slowly releasing team by team for media hype because a lot of them are fire. I think that who just dropped one that was really mid. Oh, Orlando's is horrible.
Orlando is very mid.
And Detroit's is
they're horrible.
Detroit's is like
I know. I was kind of disappointed on that one too.
Me
My friend
too.
who's a Pistons fan was kind of like, "What the hell? Who could have more?" But don't they have the teal ones though as well that are going to?
Yeah, they might have a couple. I don't know. They have one that might be good and then one that is.
Yeah, why do they get to? I mean, I guess they don't have new jerseys, but they have the set that they've been using. Why do they get to throw it back with one of their like cool old ones, and then we don't get to?
We don't do our 2009 jersey.
Because Navy's dead. That's from your general manager. All right, boys. The opener is October 19th. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. That is
against the
Raptors. We're gonna have more episodes before then.
We're starting 2-0. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm not.
We got to do our predictions. We can't forget to do our predictions. We got to start that early this year. And
we play Chicago that next week, I believe.
Got some news about Chicago. Apparently, Lonzo Ball is going to be out the whole season, but we're going to get to that stuff closer to the year. When the year comes, 2 weeks, we're going to have episodes coming up. Like I said, special guests are on the way. We know this has been a long one, but we're kicking off the season. We had a hell of a time doing this episode. No cuts. We're not, a lot of episodes, a lot of podcasts, whatever. Some of them don't do cuts. Some of the people I watch and listen to, they don't do cuts either, but we never do cuts, rarely, once in a while, only when I have to bleep Justin saying the F word out. That's about it. And it's not even a cut. It's just an edit. And now I just screw it. I've been leaving that shit in. So here we are. It's the Cavs Encapsulated crew for Logan, for Justin. I've been Jeffrey, and until we get wording on an official slogan, I'm going to just throw my own pizzazz at the end. So make sure you keep that gold standard, and we'll see you guys in the next one.